I'm going to cover this because it was texted to me this morning by one of my political colleagues. And there's some interesting observations that I can make about this that maybe people who aren't totally into politics, they might not see what I see. So we're going to go through it step by step, at least to the point that I'm at right now, which is almost halfway through it. It's a bit irritating, but let's do this. Okay, let me pull this back. Let's go.
Joining me now, Representative Khanna. He is in the middle of negotiations right now on the infrastructure bill and the reconciliation bill. Representative Khanna, welcome back to TYT.
Cenk, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for making the time in the middle of this very hectic day. So I want to ask you first about the state of the negotiations. So in the beginning, as everybody knows, progressives had said that they had a red line, that the Senate must vote for the Build Back Better bill, the reconciliation bill first. Then the House would vote on the infrastructure bill, the bipartisan corporate-backed bill. Now that line has moved, and Representative Jayapal and yourself have said, no, the Senate doesn't have to vote for it. The House will vote for both. That kind of defeats the point. But now today, the latest developments are that apparently Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, is asking you guys to not even vote for it in the House, to have a vague promise that you might vote on it later, the bill that...
All right, let's give some little commentary right here. Cenk Uygur ran for Congress up in the Antelope Valley, Simi Valley, Santa Clarita Valley. He ran in 2019, I think, when they had a special election because was it Katie Hill? Yeah, it was Katie Hill, right? Katie Hill had to she resigned. According to her, she wrote a very long expose piece explaining why she did this. She said that it was her own decision. Other people, including Cenk, was pushing this out, said that Nancy Pelosi pressured her. But she wrote an op-ed stating that no, she wasn't pressured, and actually Nancy wanted her to stay. She had had a sex scandal within her campaign, and her husband, who she was divorcing, leaked out revenge porn and exposed the fact that she had a bisexual affair with like an intern or a staffer or something. It was really some private shit, and she was scared enough that she actually resigned. It's unfortunate because I think she represented that district pretty well. What ended up happening is she ended up endorsing Christy Smith, who has been incredibly disappointing. But at the time, we all, did what Katie wanted us to do, and we backed Christy Smith because it was such a tragic story what was happening with Katie, and so we trusted her judgment. But her judgment in that particular area was wrong. Christy has turned out to be an internet troll. I'll just be real with you. The correct candidate to vote for in that district is Ruth Levinas, who is wonderful. She's amazing, and she has the Latin background and she speaks Spanish. She's a teacher. I could go on about Ruth all day long, and I love that woman so much. I'll just be real. But anyway, Cenk tried to carpetbag into that district back in 2019, and it just came across as so misogynistic and horrible because he had no connection to the district whatsoever. He was just seeking power. But clearly he's demonstrating in this live stream right now, or video, whatever you call it, that he doesn't even understand what a reconciliation bill is. The dude didn't even have as much knowledge as me, and I don't feel comfortable running for Congress. I mean, you got to be pretty fucking full of yourself if you think you can run for Congress and you don't even know what the reconciliation bill is, dude.
Progressives actually want, the one that President Biden pretended to want, that you're going to get a vague promise on that. So you just came out of a meeting on this issue. Will progressives fold again and vote the way that Pelosi wants them to without even getting an assurance it'll pass in the House?
Well, Cenk, let me share what our perspective is. I don't think the progressives ever had a red line. What we had were priorities. We wanted to make sure there was robust climate. We wanted to make sure universal preschool. We wanted to make sure expansion of dental, vision, hearing. We wanted to make sure robust housing. We wanted to make sure childcare, free community college, paid family leave. Now, some of those priorities didn't make it in. The expansion of vision and
let me give you a little background on Khanna. I can't even with this guy. So back in 2018, when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez made it through the primary, or I think it was actually a couple weeks before. It was before she made it through the primary. He fucking endorsed her, the incumbent, who he was like the number 2 at the DNC. Who was that guy? I can't remember the dude's name. Khanna fucking endorsed that dude. And then he got pressure from progressives. And so he ended up doing a double endorsement of both of them, which is some bullshit. That's some bullshit. This dude has been riding off the progressive movement for a long ass time. And he works with some of the most centrist motherfuckers I've ever met in politics. Some of the dirtiest bitches I've ever fucking met. He works with them. And he endorsed the troublemaker slate for the Progressive Caucus. He did an event at Karen Brunell's request. I can't even with Khanna. He has Margarita LaCobb on his staff as a free consultant. And she is a charter school advocate. Okay.
And hearing and dental, it's dubious. Free community college didn't make it in. Paid leave right now is on the bubble. But a lot of our priorities have made it in. The universal preschool, the childcare, and actually a very, very robust climate bill. It's in the framework. So our view is, how do we get this through? Now, no one is going to vote just on the infrastructure bill. What we're debating.
This is some fucking word soup, bro. This is some fucking word soup. I'm so disappointed in the people who purport themselves to be progressives. You guys are full of shit.
Is whether a vote on the rule on Build Back Better is enough or not, and how do we move this forward? You have to understand there's some people who don't want anything. In my view.
Out them. Why don't they vote? Why don't they vote? So, Representative Khanna, you're saying, I understand the proposal, the compromise on top of a compromise that Pelosi has proposed, which is that you vote on some nonsense rule about how you will vote later. But let's be super, super clear. You would, if this goes through, you would vote for the one that Republicans and corporate Democrats want, that corporations love, and you would not vote for the Build Back Better bill today. That's just a fact. That's what Pelosi wants. So is that going to happen, or is it not going to happen?
We're pushing back. We want to have the bill both votes today. That's what we're saying. We're saying that the 6 House Democrats, the conservative Democrats or moderate Democrats, whatever you want to call them, actually would.
By the way, this apparently is like 3 days old. This video is like, I think, 3 days old. I don't think the vote's happened yet. I don't think it's happened yet. But clearly, okay, so Cenk's trying to make it look like he's putting pressure on Khanna, but that dude is, he keeps saying Representative Khanna. He's trying to be as respectful as possible because he wants to preserve this relationship. These clowns, both of them, are all about power and money. They don't care one way or the other. If they cared, they wouldn't be doing the shit that they do.
Vote yes if we have both bills, and that's actually the negotiation taking place today. I probably disagree with you a little bit on the bipartisan infrastructure bill. I think we need the Build Back Better on the climate part, but there are parts of the bipartisan infrastructure bill that are good, like getting broadband to rural communities and urban communities, lead pipe funding that Rashida Tlaib got in. So I think overall the bill is a good one, but my bigger concern is it's not sufficient. We have to.
The bill has been trimmed down to 1.2 trillion at this point. It's not a good one, Ro. It's not fucking good. It was originally supposed to be 10 trillion. Mansion and Cinema talked it down to 1.7 trillion, and now they've apparently talked it down to 1.2 trillion. Give me a goddamn break.
Have the entirety of the agenda for working class, and that's why we've been pushing so hard to have the vote on Build Back Better.
Okay, so I'm just going to ask it bluntly. Are you guys going to fold or not? Because you said that you needed the Senate vote. You have to acknowledge you did not get that. You have retracted your position. That is clearly losing in negotiations, clearly. Now they're saying, well, since you guys can be pressured into anything, we'll bully you further into this nonsense rule vote. You explained on CNN why it's nonsense. You explained it. You said, and you did a great job in explaining it. You said, well, why do we need the Congressional Budget Office to rule on this? Several different.
Do you see how Cenk's trying to act like he's being a tough interviewer, but he's like totally throwing out softballs? Fuck you, Cenk.
Have already ruled on what it would be. So it is clearly them saying to you guys, we don't think you'll ever stand up for anything. So are you progressives going to stand up and say, no, we will not listen to leadership, bully us into submission, or are they going to say, yes, we submit?
Well, let me just say, we stood up twice, right? Twice they tried to have a vote on the infrastructure bill, and we didn't. We said, no, we wanted a framework, and the agreement we struck is when the president has a framework, we would support the framework, and I think it's important for progressives. I know there's disagreement out there, but, I'm a straight shooter. I think there are a lot of progressive things in the framework. I know people focus on what's not in there, but universal preschool, childcare, the fact that we have huge climate, including a methane tax at $500 billion.
Okay, that's enough for me. I'm like so over the theatrics of the people who call themselves progressives. I'm so fucking over this bullshit. You guys are not progressives. You're trying to get money and power. You don't care whether we pass the policy or not. And you're working against us because your interests are not the same as ours. And you're not helping us actually achieve what we need to achieve. I hate fakes. I fucking hate fakes.